The assignment gone wrong. Krevnar's thermal sensors pierced the rain as he tracked his target through the industrial district. The Dominion had been clear. Eliminate Nathan Reed, a human researcher whose work threatened galactic security. Simple, clean, no witnesses. The kind of mission Krevnar had executed flawlessly across 3 star systems. The rain intensified, drumming against his stealth suit's outer membrane. Earth's weather was as unpredictable as its inhabitants, but Krevnar had adapted during his week of surveillance. He'd learned Reed's patterns, the late nights at his private lab, the solitary walks home, the complete lack of security that made him an easy target. Too easy, perhaps. Movement caught his eye. Not his target, but 2 figures emerging from the shadows. Krevnar's hand moved to his particle disruptor, but they made no aggressive moves. Instead, one of them held up a datapad displaying text in his native language. They're going to kill you after you complete the mission, just like the others. Krevnar's secondary heart skipped a beat. The message couldn't be real. Humans shouldn't even know his language, let alone about his mission. Yet there they stood, a tall man with a scarred face and a woman whose cybernetic arm hummed with advanced tech. "My name is Daniel Wright," the man said quietly. "This is Olivia Chase. We've been tracking Dominion assassination patterns. You're the 7th they've sent. Do you know what happened to the other 6? "Lies," Krevnar hissed through his translator. "The Dominion rewards successful operatives." Olivia's cybernetic arm projected a hologram. Official Dominion death. Certificates for 6 operatives, all marked as training accidents within days of completing Earth missions. "They're using you," Daniel continued. "Just like they use the others. Nathan Reed isn't a threat to galactic security. He's a threat to the Dominion's power because he discovered something in their own classified files, something they've been hiding for centuries." Krevnar's training screamed at him to eliminate these humans and complete his mission. But doubt, that most dangerous of seeds, had been planted. The Dominion taught that humans were primitive, barely able to grasp interstellar concepts. Yet these 2 had not only identified him but had accessed classified Dominion records. "Why warn me?" he demanded. "I came to kill one of your own." Because Reed found proof that the Dominion has been manipulating multiple species, staging threats to maintain control. They're not protecting galactic security. They're protecting their own power, and they eliminate anyone who discovers the truth, including their own operatives. A distant rumble made them all look up. Through the rain, Krevnar's enhanced vision caught sight of something that shouldn't be there. A Dominion hunter-killer ship, its weapon systems active. "They're already here," Olivia said urgently. "That ship isn't backup for your mission, it's your cleanup crew. The same kind that eliminated the other 6 assassins. You need to run." "Why should I trust you?" Daniel's scarred face showed something Krevnar hadn't expected: compassion. "Because right now we're the only ones not trying to kill you." The hunter-killer ship's energy signature spiked, weapons preparing to fire. In that moment, Krevnar made a decision that went against everything he'd been taught. He listened to the humans. "If what you say is true," he said, "the Dominion will never stop hunting us. That's why we came prepared." Olivia's cybernetic arm interfaced with a hidden panel in the wall, revealing a maintenance tunnel. "Reed's been expecting them to send another assassin. He has a plan, but we need to move now." The hunter-killer's weapons charged to full power. Soon they would reduce this entire block to atoms, eliminating all evidence, including Krevnar. "The Dominion teaches that humans are predictable," Daniel said as they rushed into the tunnel. "That's their biggest mistake. They never expect us to help the very people sent to kill us." As the tunnel sealed behind them, Krevnar heard the first explosions above. He had survived 17 missions across the galaxy, but now he was running for his life, alongside the very species he'd been taught to despise, from the empire he'd sworn to serve. "Reed is waiting at a safe location," Olivia explained as they moved through the tunnel network. "Once you hear what he's discovered, you'll understand why the Dominion wants both of you dead." The ground shook with another explosion. The hunter-killer was being thorough. just as it had been with the 6 assassins before him. But unlike them, Krevnar had been warned. Now he just had to survive long enough to learn the truth, and perhaps find redemption in the most unlikely of allies. The warning. The maintenance tunnels twisted beneath the city like ancient roots, their paths illuminated by Olivia's cybernetic arm's soft blue glow. Krevnar moved silently despite his warrior's frame, every sense alert for pursuit. The distant explosions from the hunter-killer ship grew fainter as they descended deeper into Earth's underground network. "How much farther?" Krevnar asked, his translator making the whisper sound mechanical. "Almost there," Daniel replied, checking a device that looked suspiciously like modified Dominion tech. "Reed's lab is in the old subway system. The Dominion sensors can't penetrate this deep. Too much interference from the planet's magnetic field." They emerged into a vast underground chamber that defied Krevnar's expectations of human technology. Holographic displays filled the air with dancing data streams. Complex machinery hummed with familiar yet somehow different energy signatures. And in the center stood Nathan Reed, the man Krevnar had been sent to kill. Reed was younger than his file suggested, with intense eyes that seemed to see straight through Krevnar's alien features. "Welcome to what the Dominion fears most," he said, gesturing to the lab. "Truth." "You know why I came," Krevnar stated, his hand instinctively moving toward his weapon. "To kill me." "Yes. Just like they sent Mexval, Zarthak, and the others before you." Reed activated a central display, showing familiar faces, the dead assassins. "But first, let me show you why you're really here." The display shifted, showing internal Dominion communications. Krevnar's translator worked overtime, converting the encrypted text. His inner membranes flickered in shock as he read, "Mission success confirmation, asset elimination protocols, sanitization of loose ends." His voice trailed off. "They've done this before," Olivia explained, her cybernetic arm interfacing with the system to reveal more documents. "Send an assassin, eliminate the target, then eliminate the assassin. Clean, efficient, no witnesses." "But why?" Krevnar demanded. "I've served the Dominion faithfully. My record is exactly why they chose you," Daniel interrupted. "The perfect soldier, the loyal operative. Who would question your tragic death in the line of duty?" Reed stepped forward, pulling up new data streams. 6 months ago, I was just a quantum physicist working on energy transfer theories. Then I found something in a crashed Dominion probe. Not weapons tech or military secrets. Something far more dangerous." He paused, eyes locked with Krevnar's. "The truth about the Eternal Engine." Krevnar's secondary heart nearly stopped. The Eternal Engine was the Dominion's greatest achievement, the power source that fueled their empire. Every child learned of its divine origins, a gift from the Ancient Ones that proved the Dominion's right to rule. "The engine isn't divine technology," Reed continued. "It's a lie. A carefully maintained fraud that keeps multiple species dependent on the Dominion's energy monopoly, and I can prove it." The displays filled with technical specifications, energy readings, and historical data. Krevnar's military training included enough scientific knowledge to understand the implications. The engine wasn't unlimited. It was failing, and the Dominion knew it. "They've been eliminating anyone who gets close to the truth," Olivia added. "Scientists, engineers, even their own people. The assassins who came before you, they weren't killed just to eliminate witnesses. They were killed because they saw exactly what you're seeing now." A distant rumble shook dust from the ceiling. The hunter-killer ship was still searching, its patterns growing wider. "The Dominion doesn't just rule through military might," Daniel explained. "They rule through dependency. Hundreds of worlds rely on engine technology that's breaking down. Instead of finding a solution, they're choosing to eliminate anyone who might expose the truth, or find an alternative," Reed added quietly. "Which I did. The equations I decoded from the probe data led to something new, something that could free every world from Dominion control." Another explosion, closer this time. The hunter-killer was being thorough, destroying every possible hiding place. Why tell me this? Krevnar asked. Why not just let the hunter-killer complete its mission? Because every life has value, Reed said simply. Even the life of someone sent to kill me, and because we need you. Your knowledge of Dominion protocols, your combat skills, your inside understanding of their tactics. It's all vital if we're going to expose the truth. Olivia's arm suddenly pulsed red. Multiple signatures incoming. They're changing their search pattern. Time to choose, Daniel said to Krevnar. Die for a lie or live for the truth. Krevnar looked at the data again. The proof of his empire's deception. The deaths of his fellow assassins. The magnitude of the conspiracy. Everything he'd fought for, everything he'd believed in, was built on carefully constructed lies. The chamber shook with another impact. The hunter-killer was getting closer. If I help you, Krevnar said slowly, we'll be hunted across every star system. The Dominion never forgets traitors. Reed smiled. Good thing we've got a head start, and something they don't expect. Proof that their entire empire is built on a failing foundation. And each other, Olivia added, her cybernetic arm already interfacing with new systems, which is more than they have. Another explosion rocked the chamber. Time was running out. Krevnar made his decision, removing his Dominion insignia and crushing it beneath his foot. Show me everything, he said, and then show me how we make them pay for their lies. The Great Reversal, the underground lab erupted into action as multiple red warning signals flashed across Olivia's holographic displays. 3 hunter-killer ships now, she announced, her cybernetic arm streaming data. They're deploying ground teams, standard Dominion extinction protocol. Krevnar recognized the pattern. He'd led such teams before. They'll seal every exit, then flood the tunnels with neural toxins. We have minutes, not hours. Reed was already in motion, his hands flying over control panels. Good thing we planned for this. The lab's central platform suddenly split open, revealing something that made even Krevnar step back in surprise. A ship. But unlike any he'd ever seen, it had the sleek lines of Dominion tech combined with crude human engineering, creating something entirely new. Its hull seemed to shift colors like living mercury. Prototype, Reed explained, hitting activation, sequences. Built it using salvaged Dominion tech and the principles I discovered. It doesn't just hide from their sensors. It doesn't exist as far as they're concerned. Impossible, Krevnar muttered, but his combat sensors couldn't get a lock on. The vessel. It was there, yet somehow wasn't. Daniel was already loading crates of equipment. The Dominion's biggest weakness? They think they know everything. Can't detect what they don't believe can exist. The chamber shook violently. Dust and debris rained down as the hunter-killers began their final approach. The distinctive hiss of neural toxins being pumped into the tunnel system reached Krevnar's sensitive hearing. They're not taking chances this time, he noted, helping secure the last of Reed's crucial data cores. This is a full purge operation. They're scared, Olivia said, her cybernetic arm interfacing with the ship's systems. Reed's discovery threatens their entire power structure. If one human could crack their precious engine's secrets, others could too, Reed finished, powering up the ship's core. A strange hum filled the chamber, different from any engine Krevnar knew. It didn't so much push against physics as slip between its rules. The toxin's hiss grew louder. Krevnar's environmental suit registered multiple deadly compounds. How are we getting past their blockade? Even with stealth tech, they'll have overlapping fields of fire. Reed smiled. Who said anything about going past them? He activated the final sequence, and Krevnar felt reality shift around them. The ship didn't just power up. It seemed to slide sideways through existence. Through the viewport, Krevnar watched in amazement as solid rock passed through them like smoke. They weren't so much flying as phasing through matter itself, passing through Earth's crust as if it were nothing more than a hologram. Quantum tunneling on a macro scale, Reed explained, noting Krevnar's expression. The Dominion's engine uses a crude version of this principle. They just never imagined it could be refined to this degree. Because they didn't have human creativity. Daniel added, checking weapon systems that seemed to flicker between dimensions. Or human desperation. They emerged from the ground into Earth's upper atmosphere, passing straight through the hunter-killer ships as if they didn't exist. Krevnar watched through multiple sensor bands as his former colleagues fired blindly, their weapons useless against something their systems couldn't even detect. "Where are we heading?" Krevnar asked, still adjusting to this impossible mode of travel. "First stop the Proxima colony," Olivia replied, her cybernetic arm displaying their course. "There's a resistance movement there. Scientists, engineers, and others who've glimpsed the truth about the Dominion. They've been waiting for proof. And a way to fight back," Daniel added, his scarred face grim. "The Dominion's been eliminating potential threats for centuries. We're not the first to discover their lies," Reed nodded, "but we're the first with both proof and a working alternative." He gestured to the ship around them. "This technology doesn't just free us from their energy monopoly. It proves that everything they've told their subject worlds is a lie." Another alert flashed across Olivia's displays. Multiple quantum signatures. They're calling in the fleet. Through the viewport, Krevnar watched as massive Dominion warships began appearing in Earth's orbit. Capital ships, destroyers, planet crackers, enough firepower to reduce the surface to slag. "They're really scared," Daniel observed. "This is more than a cleanup operation. This is desperation," Krevnar finished. He'd never seen the Dominion deploy such force for a single target. "They know if we escape with this technology, with this proof, their entire empire crumbles," Reed said quietly. "Centuries of control gone, and they can't stop us because they can't even see us." The ship slipped through space like a ghost, passing between Dominion vessels that grew increasingly frantic in their search patterns. Their weapons fired randomly, hoping to hit something their sensors couldn't detect. "We'll need a plan," Krevnar said, his tactical mind already working. "The Dominion won't stop with Earth. They'll hunt us across every system, every world." "Good thing we've got an expert in their tactics," Olivia smiled, her cybernetic arm displaying more resistance contacts across multiple systems. "And something they never expected, a Dominion assassin working against them." "Not just working against them," Krevnar corrected, watching Earth fall away behind them as they accelerated toward freedom, working to tear down everything they built on lies. The ship phased through the last line of Dominion warships, leaving Earth's system behind. Ahead lay uncertainty, danger, and the greatest revolution the galaxy had ever seen. And it had started, because humans had chosen to warn their would-be killer to run. Running together, the Proxima colony loomed before them, a sprawling network of interconnected habitats and research stations. Once a symbol of Dominion control, now a potential sanctuary, but Krevnar knew better than to feel safe. "Multiple patrol ships in standard search formation," he reported, studying the sensor readings. "They're expecting us." "Good thing we brought an expert in Dominion protocols," Reed said, making minute adjustments to their quantum drive. The ship's mercury-like hull rippled, adapting to the new energy signatures. "Where would you have positioned infiltration teams?" Krevnar's inner membranes tightened. He'd trained those teams himself. "Maintenance airlocks, service tunnels, anywhere with minimal security coverage." He paused, remembering his own tactics. "And they'll have changed all protocols since my defection." "Maybe," Olivia smiled, her cybernetic arm interfacing with the colony's systems. "But some things never change, like the Dominion's arrogance." Her holographic displays filled with security feeds. "They're so busy looking for advanced tech, they're ignoring basic vulnerabilities." Daniel checked his modified weapons. "How many resistance contacts inside?" "3 research teams," Reed replied. "Scientists who've been questioning the Eternal Engine's efficiency patterns. They've been gathering data, but couldn't prove the decay rate without my calculations." The ship phased through the colony's outer hull, sliding between molecular bonds like water through sand. They emerged in an abandoned loading bay, the kind Krevnar would have once used for covert insertions. "We have 20 minutes before shift. Change," he warned. "The Dominion may not detect our ship, but they'll notice unauthorized personnel." "Then let's move." Daniel took point, his scarred face set with determination. Olivia, you have the coordinates? Her cybernetic arm projected a path through the station's maintenance ways. They moved swiftly, avoiding patrols with Krevnar's insider knowledge and Olivia's tech. The colony's stark corridors reminded Krevnar of his training days, when everything had seemed so clear. Protect the Empire, eliminate threats, maintain order. They found the first research team in a hidden lab, disguised as a waste processing unit. Dr. Yuki Chen looked up from her work, her eyes widening at the sight of a Dominion assassin in their sanctuary. He's with us, Reed said quickly, transmitting data packets. And we brought proof of everything you've suspected. Dr. Chen's hands flew over her console, analyzing Reed's findings. The decay rate, it's accelerating. The Eternal Engine isn't just failing, it's becoming dangerous. That's why they're getting desperate, Krevnar explained. Every assassination, every cover-up, it's all to hide the coming collapse. Suddenly, Olivia's arm flashed red. Multiple quantum spikes, they're powering up the orbital defense grid. It's starting, Daniel said grimly. Someone talked, or they got lucky. Running together, the Proxima colony loomed before them, a sprawling network of interconnected habitats and research stations. Once a symbol of Dominion control, now a potential sanctuary. But Krevnar knew better than to feel safe. Multiple patrol, ships in standard search formation, he reported, studying the sensor readings. They're expecting us. Good thing we brought an expert in Dominion protocols, Reed said, making minute adjustments to their quantum drive. The ship's mercury-like hull rippled, adapting to the new energy signatures. Where would you have positioned infiltration teams? Krevnar's inner membranes tightened. He'd trained those teams himself. Maintenance airlocks, service tunnels, anywhere with minimal security coverage. He paused, remembering his own tactics. And they'll have changed all protocols since my defection. Maybe, Olivia smiled, her cybernetic arm interfacing with the colony's systems. But some things never change, like the Dominion's arrogance. Her holographic displays filled with security feeds. They're so busy looking for advanced tech, they're ignoring basic vulnerabilities. Daniel checked his modified weapons. How many resistance contacts inside? 3 research teams, Reed replied. Scientists who've been questioning the Eternal Engine's efficiency patterns. They've been gathering data, but couldn't prove the decay rate without my calculations. The ship phased through the colony's outer hull, sliding between molecular bonds like water through sand. They emerged in an abandoned loading bay, the kind Krevnar would have once used for covert insertions. We have 20 minutes before shift change, he warned. The Dominion may not detect our ship, but they'll notice unauthorized personnel. Then let's move. Daniel took point, his scarred face set with determination. Olivia, you have the coordinates? Her cybernetic arm projected a path through the station's maintenance ways. They moved swiftly, avoiding patrols with Krevnar's insider knowledge and Olivia's tech. The colony's stark corridors reminded Krevnar of his training days, when everything had seemed so clear. Protect the Empire, eliminate threats, maintain order. They found the first research team in a hidden lab, disguised as a waste processing unit. Dr. Yuki Chen looked up from her work, her eyes widening at the sight of a Dominion assassin in their sanctuary. He's with us, Reed said quickly, transmitting data packets. And we brought proof of everything you've suspected. Dr. Chen's hands flew over her console, analyzing Reed's findings. The decay rate, it's accelerating. The Eternal Engine isn't just failing. It's becoming dangerous. That's why they're getting desperate, Krevnar explained. Every assassination, every cover-up, it's all to hide the coming collapse. Suddenly, Olivia's arm flashed red. Multiple quantum spikes. They're powering up the orbital defense grid. It's starting, Daniel said grimly. Someone talked, or they got lucky. Reed was already connecting with the lab's systems. How long to transfer your research data? 4 minutes, Dr. Chen replied, her team rushing to gather crucial equipment. But there's something else you need to see. She pulled up new calculations. We found evidence of deliberate sabotage in the engine's core design. The Dominion didn't just hide its flaws, they engineered them. Krevnar's translator struggled with his sharp intake of breath. Why would they build it to fail? Control, Reed answered, understanding dawning in his eyes. A failing system means dependent worlds become desperate. Desperate worlds accept stricter oversight, more Dominion control. The station shuddered as the defense grid activated. Through the lab's small viewport, Krevnar watched energy beams slice through space, searching for their cloaked ship. 2 minutes, Dr. Chen reported. But you should know, there are others. Research teams on Europa, Mars Colony, the Titan Outpost, all gathering similar data. All potential targets, Krevnar added. The Dominion will eliminate everyone who knows, just like they tried with me. Daniel checked the door seals. Then we warned them too, just like we warned you. The station's emergency alerts blared to life. Security breach in Section 7, an automated voice announced. All personnel report to designated safety zones. They're locking down the station, Krevnar warned. Standard containment protocol. Soon they'll start venting atmospheres section by section, Olivia finished, her cybernetic arm processing multiple data streams. 40 seconds until they reach this level. Dr. Chen's team worked frantically, transferring years of research into portable cores. The Titan team, she said urgently. They found something in the engine's original designs, something about its true purpose. Tell us on the ship, Reed insisted. Transfer what you can. We need to move. The air grew thin as emergency systems engaged. Krevnar's combat training screamed warnings about multiple approaching teams. They were trapped, surrounded by the very forces he once commanded. The final stand. The bridge of the disguised ship hummed with tension as they approached the Titan outpost. Behind them, 3 Dominion war fleets converged, their quantum weapons charged. Ahead lay their last chance to uncover the truth that had cost so many lives. They're not just following us, Krevnar observed, watching tactical displays. They're hurting us. Because they know where we're going, Dr. Chen said, examining data from the Titan team. The engine's original designs weren't just hidden here. They were hidden here for a reason. Reed's hands danced over control systems as their ship maintained its diplomatic disguise. The outpost was built around something older, something the Dominion found but couldn't control. Or wouldn't control, Olivia added, her cybernetic arm processing streams of ancient data. The Titan team found references to something they called the Source. Daniel checked weapons that shouldn't exist according to known physics. How long until the fleets are in firing range? 3 minutes, Krevnar replied. Standard extinction protocol formation. They'll destroy the entire outpost rather than let us reach whatever's hidden there. The Titan outpost grew larger in their viewport, a sprawling complex built into the moon's icy surface. But Krevnar's enhanced vision caught details his training hadn't prepared him for, patterns in the structure's foundation that seemed to defy normal architecture. Energy signatures that pulsed with impossible rhythms. Multiple contacts, Olivia warned. They're evacuating the outpost, and something's powering up inside. Something big. The Source, Reed breathed. It's reacting to our approach, to the quantum drive signature. Krevnar's tactical display suddenly flared with warnings. Energy spike from the lead fleet. They're firing. The space behind them erupted with quantum fire, but Reed was already moving. The ship slipped between realities, letting the devastating beams pass through them. But the maneuver cost them their disguise. They'll have full weapons lock in 30 seconds, Daniel reported. We don't need 30 seconds. Reed engaged their quantum drive at full power, aiming straight for a solid section of the outpost's wall. We just need to reach the Source before they reach us. The ship phased through the outpost's outer structure, emerging into a vast chamber that defied comprehension. At its center floated a crystalline structure that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. That's not Dominion technology, Krevnar stated, his sensors unable to classify what he was seeing. No, Dr. Chen agreed, her eyes wide. It's what they've been trying to copy, trying to control. The eternal engine isn't just failing, it's a flawed reproduction of this. The chamber's ancient systems suddenly activated, responding to their presence. Holographic displays in unknown languages filled the air, but somehow Krevnar could understand them. He saw the truth the Dominion had hidden for centuries. The source was a gift, he said, reading the ancient text. From a civilization that achieved what the Dominion only pretended to: true mastery of quantum energy, free power for all sentient species. But the Dominion found it first, Reed continued, understanding dawning. Instead of sharing it, they locked it away, created a flawed copy they could control, used it to build an empire based on dependency and fear. The chamber shuddered as the first Dominion weapons struck the outpost. Through their viewport, they watched assault ships landing, deploying elite extinction teams. "We'll never get this data out," Daniel said grimly. "Not through 3 fleets. We don't have to." Olivia's cybernetic arm interfaced with the ancient systems. "The source isn't just a power generator, it's a quantum transmitter. The Dominion didn't just hide it because of its power, they hid it because it could communicate with every quantum-capable device in the galaxy." Reed's eyes lit up with understanding. "Including every copy of the eternal engine they've installed across their empire. We don't need to escape with the proof. We can transmit it directly to every world, every station, every ship in their fleet." "They'll see everything," Dr. Chen realized. "The original designs, the deliberate flaws, the centuries of lies." The chamber rocked with another impact. On tactical displays, they watched Dominion forces converging on their position. Elite warriors like Krevnar had once been, ready to eliminate all evidence of the truth. "How long to set up the transmission?" Daniel asked, preparing defenses. 2 minutes, Olivia replied. "But we'll have to drop our quantum shields. We'll be vulnerable." Krevnar made a decision. "I'll hold them off. I trained most of their extinction teams. I know their tactics." "Not alone," Daniel said, checking his weapons. "They taught us humans were weak, remember? Time to prove them wrong again." The first explosion breached the chamber's outer doors. Dominion elite forces poured in, weapons charged. But they faced something unprecedented. A former assassin fighting alongside the very humans he'd been sent to kill. Krevnar and Daniel held the line, their combined knowledge of Dominion tactics turning the chamber's architecture against the attackers. Behind them, Reed, Olivia, and Dr. Chen worked frantically to activate the source's transmission capability. 30 seconds! Olivia called out. The chamber filled with quantum fire as more Dominion forces arrived. But for every warrior that fell, Krevnar saw hesitation in the next one's stance. They were elite, but they were also starting to question. Starting to wonder why the Dominion would expend so much force to protect a secret. 10 seconds. A quantum blast caught Daniel in the shoulder, but he kept firing. Krevnar took a hit to his secondary heart but remained standing. They just needed moments more. "Transmission active," Reed announced. The source pulsed with blinding energy. Every quantum device in the galaxy received the truth, the original designs, the deliberate sabotage, the centuries of manipulation, but more importantly, they received the solution. The plans for Reed's improved drive, the corrections to the engine's flaws, the key to true energy independence. The Dominion forces stopped firing. Through their neural networks, they were seeing the same truth. Centuries of loyalty based on carefully constructed lies shattered in an instant. "Command vessels are powering down," Olivia reported, monitoring fleet movements. They're receiving surrender signals from their own crews." The revolution they'd sparked wasn't one with weapons or armies. It was one with truth. With the simple act of humans warning their would-be killer, choosing to save rather than destroy. "What happens now?" Daniel asked, helping Krevnar tend to his wounds. "Now," Reed said, watching as the source's energy merged with their quantum drive, creating something new, something better. "We rebuild. We show every world that cooperation achieves more than conquest." Krevnar looked at the humans who had saved him, who had shown him a better path. "The Dominion taught us that humans were primitive, predictable. that they would always choose violence when threatened. And instead, Dr. Chen smiled, we chose to warn our assassin to run, to help our enemy escape, to show compassion when the logical choice was revenge. Through the viewport, they watched Dominion ships powering down across the system, their crews choosing truth over blind loyalty. The empire built on lies was falling, not through force but through understanding. That's humanity's real power, Olivia said, her cybernetic arm displaying messages of support flooding in from across the galaxy. Not our technology or our weapons, but our capacity to see past differences to help even those sent to destroy us. The source's energy continued to pulse, not just with power but with possibility. A new future where species worked together, where energy flowed freely, where trust replaced fear. And it had all started because humans had made an impossible choice: to save the assassin sent to kill them, to run together instead of apart, to prove that the greatest power in the universe wasn't control, but compassion.